Hello everyone and welcome back to the Black Eagles podcast. We've been off the air for quite a while, but I'm here now to update you a little bit on the latest ins and outs when it concerns Beşiktaş. And of course I'm recording this in the middle of the World Cup. We're about to start the semi-finals. Today, the day of recording is the 13th of December, Tuesday the 13th of December. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the performances of our Beşiktaş players at the World Cup so far. At the moment, the only player remaining at the World Cup from Beşiktaş is, of course, Romain Saïss, who is the captain for the Moroccan national team, who have surprisingly made it to the semi-finals and will be playing France later this week in the semi-finals of the World Cup, the first African nation to ever reach the World Cup. And for Romain Saïss, of course, it isn't looking too good, unfortunately. He picked up a hamstring injury in their, not this last game, but the game before even, and he played with a bandaged leg for about an hour against Portugal, but he had already picked up the injury against Spain. But as a true warrior, he just battled on, and basically in this post-match interview, after the Portugal game, he said he basically played with one leg for 60 minutes. And I know a lot of our fans may be not so happy about that, and that's understandable. Of course, he is risking his health, he's risking his longevity, his career, and he is of course being paid by us, by Beşiktaş. So in that regard, it's a little bit reckless what he's been doing, or at least that's what many people seem to believe at the moment. I'm inclined to agree with them, but at the same time, I do understand that this is truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for him. I mean, he's 32 years old now. The chances of him playing the next World Cup aren't massive, although he's a defender, of course. So at 36, he could definitely still play. If you look at our former player, Pepe, who's 39 and he's still playing for Portugal, then maybe Romain Saïss can make the next World Cup should Morocco qualify as well. However, this is of course a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for him, and it's very understandable that he is willing to do whatever it takes to play for Morocco. Although I do fear for Romain Saïss that the semi-final will just be impossible at this point. He had to be subbed off at the 60-minute mark against Portugal, and he had to be stretchered off, in fact. So I don't think that it's realistic for him to continue to play in the tournament. But that would be a massive shame, of course, should Morocco advance to the final. But regardless, they're going to play at least two more games. They will play France in the semi-final, and then they will either play the final or they will play the consolation final. So two more games from Morocco, who have played a tremendous tournament. They haven't lost a single game. They've only conceded one goal, and that was an own goal even. So they haven't even conceded a goal from an opposition player this entire tournament. And they haven't just played any teams. They've played Belgium, they've played Croatia, they've played Atiba Hutchinson's Canada, of course, and then they have also played Spain. Now they've knocked out Portugal. Amazing run by Morocco and an amazing performance by our player Romain Saïss, and I hope that does change some opinions on him. I think fans in general haven't been super impressed with him so far because of course our season hasn't been going too well. Although I personally think that he's been a solid player for us. It's just that when everything isn't functioning properly and he's adjusting to the club, he's adjusting to the country and everything, he's still settling in. I don't think it's fair to expect him to immediately be the defensive leader that Şenol, for example, seems to expect him to be. But I think it's normal that a player takes a little bit of time to get used to a new environment and doesn't immediately start shouting out orders and barking out orders at his teammates. Even though that's what a captain, especially a defensive leader, should be doing. But I think for someone like Saïss, let him settle in for a couple of months before he starts taking up that role. I hope that after the World Cup, once he's back and fully fit, that he will start taking up that role more and more for Beşiktaş. But he's of course a quality player, and we've seen it at the World Cup, and we've seen definitely glimpses of that at Beşiktaş as well. So very good tournament for Romain Saïss. The two other players most prominent players that have been at the World Cup for Beşiktaş and for the Super League as well, of course, have been Wout Weghorst and Atiba Hutchinson. And let's start with Atiba first, because he went out with his Canada in the group stages already. But we have to remember that this is the first time since 1986 that Canada has partaken in a World Cup, and it's only their second ever World Cup participation. And they did set a few new records. They scored their first ever World Cup goal, because in 1986 they actually didn't manage to score a single goal. Alphonso Davies from Bayern Munich, of course, got on the score sheet. He could have done it in the first game against Belgium, but he missed a penalty, and I think that really could have made the tournament a little different for Canada, because they were really good in that game. As you all know, I am from Belgium, so obviously I've watched pretty much all the games of the World Cup so far, but of course I paid special attention to that one, and I expected fully for Belgium to struggle against Canada, because I've been paying very close attention to Canada as well, of course due to Atiba's presence and also Cal Laren in the past, and they have been really going on a tear in the qualifications in North America, and they've been really putting down some tremendous performances under the leadership of the Englishman Herdman, who previously was even the coach of the female football team from Canada and has done tremendous things, accomplished tremendous things there, and then he moved on to the men's team and of course has done terrific there as well. And Atiba has been a very important player in his system. He has his captain, and he brings a lot of experience and everything. He's so important for the Canadian national team. And for Atiba, I think he's been with us for 10 years. He's arguably the greatest ever foreigner to play for Beşiktaş. Not in terms of the greatest player individually. I think that we'd have to think of Mario Gomez and Ricardo Quaresma, but Atiba is definitely the biggest foreigner, or the most successful foreigner for us, I'd have to say, because of the longevity, because of what he's done, because of what he means for us. He's a massive club legend at this point. But the last year and a half or so, I think for him has really been about making it to this World Cup, preparing for this World Cup. He's barely played for us this season. I would even dare say that us extending his contract this season was more about the club wanting to do something back for Atiba, give him the opportunity to stay fit, to train and get ready for the World Cup. I don't think anyone at the club pushed him to play when he wasn't 100%. I think in a different situation, a different environment, he would have definitely been pushed to play and all that. But now it was all about this World Cup, getting ready for this World Cup. And I'm not going to speak on what Canada's goal was at the World Cup, because I don't know. But I think looking back at it, obviously they'll be disappointed with the 0 points in the group stages because they lost all 3 games. But I think they can be very proud of their performance against Belgium in particular. They did give Morocco a tough game as well. And against Croatia, they struggled a little bit more. They lost that one 4-1, I believe. But, especially their performance against Belgium, they could have easily beaten Belgium if Thibaut Courtois did not save Alphonso Davies' penalty. And afterwards, I was like, why would Atiba not take that? I really thought that would have been a moment, especially because it was the first game. Atiba has all this experience. He hasn't taken a lot of penalties at Beşiktaş, I think only really in shootouts and stuff, but he's always taken a good penalty when he did. And I think with his experience, he should have really taken that first penalty. Not because I want Atiba to score at a World Cup or anything like that. I just think that the pressure on Alphonso Davies' shoulders there, I think it would have been much better off putting that on the most experienced player in the team and the captain. I think Atiba should have probably taken that penalty against Belgium, and then maybe things could have been different. If they scored that, I don't think Belgium come back. Maybe they get a draw. I don't think Belgium would go up and over Canada. So yeah, it's a shame that Canada didn't get any points, but they definitely showed themselves to the world. It was a positive experience for them, I'm sure. I am so proud. I know we are all so proud of Atiba for making the World Cup at age 39. And yeah, it's really the crowning moment of his career. The grandest stage in football is the World Cup, of course. He's played plenty of Champions League games, which is, I would say, the second highest stage. But then the World Cup is, of course, you know, the epitome of everything. And we're also proud, of course, of Atiba for making that a reality. And we hope that he can come back now and for the next 6 months. Yeah, just have a great rest of the season. And I do expect that this will be the last 6 months of Atiba's career. I think he'll be hanging up his boots from things I've been hearing left and right. He's still a fantastic player, but of course, you know, the older you get, the harder it becomes to just get your body ready for matches and to keep your body going, really. And I think Atiba has slowly but surely come to that stage where it's starting to become harder and harder. You know, the day after the match is starting to become harder and harder for him. And I think this will be probably Atiba's final season. But I'm so happy that he can finish his career with us. And couldn't be more proud of Atiba, of course. Another person we can all be very proud of course, is Wout Weghorst, the Dutch striker. He didn't initially play too much for the Netherlands. He came on in their first match as a sub and against... was it against Senegal? Yeah, against Senegal. I don't think he played in their second game against Ecuador, but then he came on in their third match, I believe, as well. But he didn't basically play any big parts necessarily until, of course, just recently, their semi-final against Argentina, where the Netherlands found themselves 2-0 down with only 10 minutes remaining on the match. Messi and company seemed to be true. The Netherlands with a really bleak performance. They hadn't been too impressive throughout the tournament. The group stages, yeah, they got 7 points, but none of it was impressive. Didn't impress against Senegal. Struggled tremendously against Ecuador. And then their third match, they won pretty relatively easily. Struggled again in the next round. No, actually, they didn't struggle. They made pretty quick work of the USA, to be fair. But that was more down to the naivete of the US rather than the quality of the Netherlands, I would say. And then this was their first big test, which was, of course, Argentina, which is one of the top favorites in the tournament. But as we've seen with the favorites in this tournament, Germany, Spain, Portugal now, Brazil, you know, they've all gone out. Belgium, another one of those. So Argentina, definitely one of those top favorites, but didn't mean that there wouldn't be a chance for the Netherlands, who were also seen as one of the underdogs and one of the favorites. But yeah, it wasn't to be, especially didn't look like it was going to be, because it was 2-0 in the 75th minute when Lionel Messi himself stepped up and took a penalty and made it 2-0. So then 3 minutes later, Louis van Gaal finally decided to put on his plan B, which was putting on both Wout Weghorst and Luc de Jong to put two towers up top. And just a couple of minutes later, in the 82nd minute, Wout Weghorst scored with a tremendous header to give the Netherlands hope. And then you think, okay, it's going to be tight for a couple more minutes, but Argentina are probably just going to, you know, get through this, right? But 10 minutes of added time, and in the 11th minute, the Netherlands have a free kick. And yeah, a fantastic studied free kick, basically, with Koopmeiners lifting the ball in a little bit into the box, playing it into Wout Weghorst. And he turns and he scores and he makes it 2-2. And at that point, everyone thinks Argentina are on the ropes. We've seen how they deal with adversity in this tournament already against Saudi Arabia. We've seen how rattled they can be. But then the Netherlands didn't push through. Obviously, they put on a lot of offensive players to get that equalizer. And then they managed to get it. And they go into 30 minutes of extra time. And it seemed like at that point, Van Gaal was betting on the penalties. Rather than trying to finish the game in extra time, it felt like they were very confident about the penalties and that they were going to go through on the penalties. And unfortunately, the captain Van Dijk missed his first penalty. Then also Berghuis missed the second penalty. And credit to Berghuis, he played a fantastic game when coming on as a second half sub. He was one of the players that turned the match around. And also credit to Van Dijk, he's the captain. He stepped up and took his responsibility. Unfortunately for him, the Argentina goalkeeper saved it. And then Wout Weghorst stepped up for the third penalty, scored his. Was very happy to see that, of course. And it definitely wasn't down to Weghorst. Luuk de Jong also converted a penalty and one of the Argentina players missed, but then Lautaro Martinez took their fourth and scored, and that sent Argentina through to the semifinals against Croatia. And after the match, there was a little bit of tension between the Dutch and the Argentinian players, and stuff happened. And after the game, Wout Weghorst wanted to shake Lionel Messi's hand, maybe exchange shirts, but Messi didn't quite get that message, I think, and was still very riled up due to what happened post-game. And he started yelling at when he was doing an interview. Weghorst was waiting to shake his hand and stuff, and Messi interpreted it the wrong way, I guess. And I think he thought that Weghorst was there to continue the fight, so to speak, to continue arguing or whatever. But obviously Weghorst wasn't there with any bad intentions. He just wanted to shake the greatest player of all time, shake his hand, which is understandable, and exchange shirts, which is also understandable, because Wout Weghorst really is just a normal guy that had a dream as a kid to make it as a football player, and the biggest dream he ever had was to play at a World Cup, and he did that. He also said that in his post-match interview. He was in tears, and he said, "This should have been the greatest moment in my career. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be due to how it ended." But I think he will still look back at this as the greatest moment of his career, the crowning achievement. You have to keep in mind, Wout Weghorst has never won a championship. He's never. I think he played 2 cup finals, but he never won a cup, I think. I don't think he's ever won a trophy at club level. He's never really played at a top club. Beşiktaş is the first top club he's playing for. You have to think, before this he played for Heracles, he played for AZ, and then he played for Wolfsburg in Germany. Wolfsburg, of course, a great club, but they're not a club that wins trophies. At least they haven't done since the mid-2000s. And then he went to Burnley. There's no other club that's going to win any trophies. So Beşiktaş is the first club he's playing at now where he has the opportunity of perhaps winning a trophy. And of course, things this season aren't looking amazing for that. But, this is the crowning achievement of his career as well. Of course, he's a lot younger than Atiba. He's only 30 years old, whereas Atiba is at the very end of his career, 39 years old. And the World Cup for Atiba was definitely the cherry on top. But for Wout Weghorst, it was a massive goal as well. I'm sure it was for Atiba too. But for Weghorst, he came to Beşiktaş because he believed that would give him a better opportunity to go to the World Cup. I'm very happy that for him it worked out. It was, especially the public opinion in the Netherlands was, should he go? I mean, we already have Luuk de Jong for that role, blah, blah, blah. I don't think we need him, blah, blah, blah. That's what people in the Netherlands were saying. And I am so happy and proud of him, happy for and proud of him that he managed to prove those naysayers wrong again. Because all the comments I've read from Dutch fans now, they're so 100% positive about Weghorst. They're praising his commitment, they're praising his dedication, his fighting spirit, everything he's known for, everything that makes him a top tier football player. Because Wout Weghorst might not be the most technically refined footballer, but he's a tremendous striker. He has an incredible will. and he's a fantastic player because of that. And I'm very happy that people in the Netherlands may finally start appreciating that in him, because he's been, especially in Holland, very underappreciated for a very long time. And I think maybe this brace against Argentina that he just scored will still be remembered very fondly. Of course, had they won that penalty shootout, it would have been one of the most epic moments in Dutch football history, at least in recent football history for the Netherlands. You know, they of course had the 2010 World Cup final, and then they had, you know, in 1988 they won the European Cup, and in 74 and then 78 they played the World Cup final as well. But I think had they gone through against Lionel Messi's Argentina, regardless of what would happen in the next game against Croatia, and let's be honest, they would have had a good chance against Croatia and a good chance of making the final. They were so close. But if they would have won that penalty shootout, that would have been remembered for forever, probably. Now, I still think this will be remembered very fondly by many people, but because they couldn't quite finish the job, it's not going to go into the zeitgeist. It's not going to go into the Dutch folklore as it would have if they had gone through. And for that, I feel I not feel sorry necessarily, but it's a shame because Weghorst deserved to go down as a Dutch hero because of that brace against Argentina. He still does, I think, but to a lesser extent for sure. But so happy and so proud of him that he represents our club and that he did in such a good style. And the same thing for Atiba and especially Romain Saïss as well. We can be very proud of our guys at the World Cup. George Kevin Nkoudou, who was also active at the World Cup, he didn't really do much. He played in the first game a little bit. I don't think he came on in the second and in the third game. Former player Vincent Aboubakar, of course, had a great tournament. He scored and assisted in their second game against Serbia. Started the first game on the bench for Cameroon. Came on as a sub but didn't do anything in their first game. Their loss against the Swiss. Was it against the Swiss? I think it was against the Swiss. And then he, of course, came on against Serbia, scored and assisted to get them a 2-2 draw. And then against Brazil in the third match, he scored a 90-plus minute header to see them beat Brazil 1-0. So definitely not bad from the former Beşiktaş player, Vincent Aboubakar. Another former Beşiktaş player that is still in the tournament, actually, is Domagoj Vida, although he hasn't played since the first game. So he's been on the bench mainly, and I think the most notable moment for him was him comforting and hugging Luka Modric and Brozovic when they were subbed off in their match against who was it again? I don't remember. But anyway, you know, Vida is of course there as well. So we have some Beşiktaş presence there still with Domagoj Vida as well. Although he left us, of course, this summer, but he played for us for 4 years and 4.5 years, and of course won a championship with us. So for us, Vida is somebody that will always be fondly remembered and always will be remembered as a Black Eagle. Same thing for Vincent Aboubakar, although personally and a lot of other fans will have a little bit of a sour feeling regarding him due to the way he kind of sold us out in that final stretch of months in the 2020-2021 season. But still, you know, won 2 championships with us, played a big part in both of them. Fond memories of him as well, of course. No Ricardo Quaresma at this World Cup. Unfortunately, you know, 39 years old now, no club at the moment. Might be on the verge of retiring. So, unfortunately, no Quaresma for Portugal. But of course, Pepe is there, another former Beşiktaş player. And Pepe scored actually in the previous game for Portugal in what was a very emphatic win for them against the Swiss. 6-1, I believe it was. But then, they went out against Morocco just now, and he broke his arm actually against Morocco. Almost scored an equalizer in the 90th minute, but it wasn't to be for Portugal, and they head home as probably, I'm not gonna say certainly, but probably Pepe's last World Cup. You know, at 39, you'd have to think that in 4 years he won't be there anymore. But maybe he makes the Euros, you never know. Another big moment, of course, for that was probably the end of Cristiano Ronaldo's World Cup career as well, and he'll be finishing that career without a World Cup to his name. Lionel Messi, of course, the only one of the big two left that might still be able to do it. Anyway, that's what the World Cup is concerned. Let's quickly talk about the friendly matches that Beşiktaş have been playing in the meantime as this World Cup has been going on. Of course, there was a cup game recently as well against Serik Belediyespor, which Beşiktaş won 3-1. That was on the 9th of November, I believe. And then we've been playing a bunch of friendly matches more recently. Beşiktaş played a friendly against Istanbulspor on the 29th of November, and they beat Istanbulspor 4-0. Well, we could have used that 4-0 in the league game against them, of course. We were winning 2-0, and then they still got back in it, unfortunately. Then there was another friendly game against Fatih Karagümrükspor. 1-1 in that game. Let's have a quick look at the goal scores here as well. That will open up here. I'm using Soccerway at the moment. So in the 4-0 against Istanbulspor, we had Nathan Redmond, Cenk Tosun, Kerem Atakan Keskin, and Dele Alli scoring the goals. It was a really good performance by the team. The starting lineup in this match was Mert Günok Wellington, Javi Montero, Emre Can, Nathan Redmond, Dele Alli, Tayfur, Kerem, Berkay Vardar, Cenk Tosun, and Jackson Muleka. And then we had some subs coming on. Jetson came on for Berkay. Ersin came on at halftime for Mert. Necip came on in the final half hour for Cenk. Masuaku came on for Montero. In the 64th minute, we had Rosier making a second half appearance. We also had Ozan Akgün. Tayyip Talha came on for Emre Can. We had Necati Bilgic as well making an appearance. And the first appearance for Semih Kılıçsoy, who came on to replace Jackson Muleka. And we're going to get back to that in a bit. And then we had two more subs here with Aitu coming on. And one more. Terzi. What's his first name? I forget. Anyway, that was the game against Istanbulspor. 4-0 win. Then there was a 1-1 draw against Fatih Karagümrük. This wasn't such a good performance though, unfortunately, but we did get an equalizer late in the match here because Kazım Richards scored a very good goal in the 33rd minute there, putting them in front, and then we basically tried to push for an equalizer for the remainder of the game. That came late in the match with Kerem Keskin scoring in the 85th minute. It was a really nice assist from the previously mentioned Semih Kılıçsoy. Semih, who's one of our biggest talents from the under-19s. He only just turned 17 actually in August, if I'm not mistaken. So he's very young, but already filled out quite well. He very muscular tone to his body, quite stocky in that regard. Not stocky fat, but stocky muscular. So he looks like a very interesting player. Reminds me a little bit of Gökhan Töre in terms of build. Very quick, agile. Definitely has something to him. So keep an eye on him. I think we already tipped him last season because he was last under-19 season. He was 16, but he was playing for the under-19s already last season, and he actually scored quite a lot of goals for the under-19s last season as an attacking winger. So definitely somebody to pay attention to. Semih Kılıçsoy. I'm not going to praise him to the moon and back, but, just keep an eye on him, keep tabs on him, and we will, of course, also keep tabs on him. So the lineup we started against Fatih Karagümrük was Ersin in goal, Masuaku, Rosier, Tayyip Talha, Emre Can, Nathan Redmond again, Dele Alli again, Jetson Fernandes, Berkay Vardar, Cenk Tosun, and Jackson Muleka. So Cenk and Jackson Muleka up front again for the first 2 games. Dele Alli and Redmond, I think they have started in every single one of our friendlies. And then in the second half, we saw a bunch of subs with Necip coming on, Emre Bilgin coming on for Ersin at halftime. We had Wellington, Kerem Atakan Kesgin, Oğuzhan Akgün, Tayfur Bingöl. Again, Semih Kılıçsoy came on the 74th minute and then, of course, gave that assist. He gave a really good assist, but he also had a similar action a little bit beforehand that was very similar to it, really. And it really showed his quickness and his agility to turn away from his opponent and beat them with speed. We also had Badra Cisse coming on in this game. Again, Necati Bilgic came on as well. We had also Emrecan Terzi coming on. So yeah, a lot of young players getting some opportunities as well, although not too many minutes. But Semi seemingly definitely made an impression on Scheudle because he actually started in our last friendly game. Then we played another friendly against Belgian Sporting Charleroi, in which Jackson Muleka and Tayyip Talha scored in the first half to give us a 2-0 lead. Then they scored a goal via Huzel Mazala or something. I believe Dele Alli also missed a penalty in this game, actually. But again, the starting lineup with Mert in goal, Necip with his first start in these friendlies, Wellington, Masuaku, Tayyip Talha, Emre Can, Nathan Redmond, Dele Alli, Tayfur Bingöl, Gedson Fernandes, and Jackson Muleka. So the pattern we're seeing so far is Jackson Muleka starting all of the friendlies, and Dele Alli and Nathan Redmond starting all the friendlies. Then the second half substitutes, we had Montero coming on, Semih Kılıçsoy again. This time he got a little bit more time. He came on at the 60th minute to replace Dele. Then we had Kerem Atakan Kesgin, Berkay Vardar, Ersin Destanolo coming on at the hour mark to replace Mert. Valentin Rosier, Salih Uçan, first appearance in the friendlies for Salih. He had been nursing a little bit of an injury, I believe. Emrecan Terzi, and that was it. And then in our last friendly game, which was against another Belgian side, Westerlo. Let's have a quick look. Apparently we also had a friendly that was supposed to take place, but that got cancelled. Let me see. Where's the last friendly we had here? Oh, here we go. Then our last friendly. We still have another one coming up. We have one more friendly coming up, by the way, which will be against Giresun on the 15th. And then we have a cup game against Şanlıurfaspor on the 21st. But we had one more friendly that we already played, and that was against Westerlo, also from Belgium, which actually have Turkish owners. So they have a couple of Turkish players that they transferred this past season. In goal they have Sinan Bolat, another one Ragit Tagir, you'll recognize maybe from Başakşehir, Halil Akbunar, of course. They also have Burak Gumushkaya from Fenerbahçe. I think it's Burak, right? No, it's not Burak. Whatever. Anyway, so in this game, we won this one 1-0 through to a late goal from Nathan Redmond in the 87th minute, assisted by Tayfur Bingöl. The lineup here to start was Mert in goal, Necip, Wellington, Masuaku, Tayyip Talha, Nathan Redmond, Salih Uçan, Dele Alli, Tayfur Bingöl, Gedson Fernandes, and Semih Kılıçsoy. So no real out-and-out striker in this game. Dele kind of played as a striker, which was definitely noticeable that we lacked a little bit of presence up top. But again, I thought Nathan Redmond, I think, has been really good throughout all of these friendlies. I also definitely have been seeing positive things from Dele Alli. It definitely seems like Scheudle is trying out lots of different playing styles. He's tried 3 at the back, he's tried 4 at the back, he's tried different approaches, but a thing that he consistently has been doing is trying to push Dele Alli, I think. I think he's definitely taking a keen interest in Dele, and realizes that for the team to be successful this season, he'll probably have to unlock his potential. Nathan Redmond, you can definitely see he's settling in more. I thought he was really good in these friendly matches. One of the better players, together with Jackson Muleka as well. Jetson Fernandez continuing his form from the league and performing really well. In the second half, of course, we had a bunch of subs again. Umut Meras came on here, Montero came on, Ersin Destanolo came on at halftime for Mert, Nkoudou came on, Kerim Atakankeski, Atiba actually making his return from the World Cup and playing for about 30 minutes in this game as well. And then we also had Emrecan Terzi coming on for Semi in the 80th minute. So Semi Kilsoy in this game starting, definitely because he impressed in the previous games when he came on as a sub. So Şenol Güneş taking a bit of an interest in Semi, which is very fun for us, I think, for us fans to see that Semi is getting a bit of an opportunity, and maybe we'll see him in the friendly game against in the cup game against Şanlıurfa soon. But like I said, we have one more friendly before that against Giresunspor. That's on the 15th. And then on the 21st, we will be playing that cup game against Şanlıurfa before we pick up the league again against Gaziantep on the 25th, on Christmas Day. So, yeah. Just a couple one more friendly, and then we're back to the official games quite soon. So on the 21st of December, the season officially starts again for Beşiktaş with a cup game against Şanlıurfaspor, which will be played at the Vodafone Park. And after that, we are traveling away to Gaziantep for picking up the league again. After that, we play Adana Demirspor at home, and then we have Kasımpaşa at home as well in the beginning of next year on the 7th of January. But like I said, on the 25th, we're playing Gaziantep, and then on the 29th, we're playing Adana Demirspor at home. So there's 3 more official games and 4 more games in total in the remainder of 2022. So I think that's plenty to have caught up on for Beşiktaş. Sorry again for it being so long. I will try to get in more regular updates, and soon, fortunately, in the next 4 to 5 months, I hope to be moving house, and once that happens, we'll try to start picking up with a regular co-host again for the Black Eagles podcast, and hopefully also Football Alaturka, but I'll keep you all posted up on that later. Anyway, for us here at the Black Eagles podcast, also for Sinan Schwarding, of course, not joining me today, but we all wish you a very good remainder of the World Cup and a remainder of the year, and hopefully a good Beşiktaş in the remainder of this year, but especially in 2023. And as Sinan always says, go Beşiktaş.
Ortada Bobo. Şimdi Bobo'nun önüne. Bobo aldı. Bobo girdi. Bobo.